going to take you way back for a moment and ask you, who was little Lee when you were growing up? Did you envision what it was you wanted to do when you became an adult? And are you doing that? Were there things that you deliberately did and created to go on the path that you are now on? And just share a little bit about some of the milestone sort of career moves that I even mentioned in your bio at the beginning.
It's a good question. My first memory of what I wanted to be like a Hollywood star.
Ooh, okay, come on over.
Seriously, it's changed. It's changed. And also what I wanted to do changed through my career. I was always interested in politics. I wanted to be in politics. I wanted to be, to represent like the state of Israel and what we do. And I was envisioned and also build my way into that. So my first significant role was a chief of staff for the Israeli ambassador in DC, which I learned a lot. And it was a crazy role. I was 26 when I got it. And all the one who did it before me was probably 40, 45 years old man from the ministry.
So let me ask you this, because I know our audience and I know that they want to know, how did you go from being in Israel, going through school, probably, I'm assuming, going through the army, coming out of that, how did that leapfrog into you being in DC working in that capacity?
So basically in Israel, the ambassador in DC is a political appointee. So his chief of staff is a political appointee. I didn't start as a chief of staff. I started as a personal assistant for half a year, but I've been working like days and nights. I've been like memorizing like every congressman and woman and senator. And, this is a woman from Israel.
Yeah.
And I become someone that you couldn't live without. And then when there was an opportunity, it was after half a year, I basically made a statement. Either I'm getting the job or I'm leaving.
Right.
And since I was able to build it, and it was hard to say no to. Yeah. And maybe to the audience, like it's, I was always very bold. Like I was always very brave.
Yeah. And
always try to ask what I want.
Good for you.
And so I got the job. I have crazy stories from the time I was there. It was a lot of media, a lot of Congress and Senate and White House, and then the relationship between Israeli and US governments is very, very interesting in general through the history.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I was always wanted to be in politics and I always wanted to be the prime minister. But after 4 years doing it, I kind of looking at how can I really impact of what we do.
Yeah.
And what is the best thing that Israeli does and need to do more and more and more, not only by how does other nation looking at us, but also is changing life. If you think about technology, it's the biggest social mobilizer in the world. It's changed life. It's changed states.
Yeah.
And it's not only bring value to people, it's saving lives. So kind of looking at that in DC, what was the only thing that everyone agreed on was Israeli technology. And to be able to be a part of this system, and I'm not I'm not a CTO, I'm not coming from a technological background or product background. I'm a people person. So I know a lot of people. I knew a lot of investors that wanted to invest in Israel, and I wanted to choose a home I would believe in. Yeah. So this is kind of how I was pivot into finance and venture capital, kind of bringing people with me to Israel.
Amazing. Yeah.
Learning it, and then meeting Roy and decided to own it.
Yeah, basically. No, it's fantastic. And it feels, by the way you explain it, it feels like such a natural fit for you, where you really can make a difference and you really are leaning into that in a meaningful way with such an extraordinary understanding of a much larger context. And for you, Roy, in your early days, who was little Roy? What did you think you would be end up doing?
Great
with your
question.
Life?
So I think going back to the army, when I got out of the army, I wanted to study abroad, so I find the easiest way to earn a living while living abroad, which is joining the Secret Service in Israel and doing embassy security, which means I got beaten up for about 6 months to get to that role. Then I worked in Paris, Warsaw, in Paris, in Mauritania, and in Hong Kong. Got back to Israel, decided that I'm going to be a judge and I'm going to fix the Israeli law system.
Wow.
Studied law, got into a law firm, did a more advanced law degree specializing in IP, and then I realized that that's not what I'm going to do in life. And then I pursued another crazy idea, kind of shows you the motivation when you're young, of becoming an executive in a corporate, doing the global business development, really looking at the title and the position as more important than what you actually do. And I think that journey ended when I joined Google and I got the opportunity to really change the world from a small seat that is more of a founder seat rather than an executive seat. So I started in Israel, started experimenting with building startup programs, had all the flexibility to make all the possible mistakes, bring on probably the smartest people in the world to work with me. And, start piloting. What would startup program mean for Lagos and for all of Africa? What a startup program would mean for Sao Paulo, for Brazil, for Mexico, for Tokyo, Singapore, Bangalore. And then I realized very quickly that influencing is not about a title. It's not about a position. It's more about your passion and what drives you. And, after 6 years at Google, building the biggest accelerator on the planet, Google still uses the product and the programming I've built, and I have very close relations with my team. I think the one thing I'm really proud of while working at Google is opening an accelerator in Haiti, which is another funny story of how I got to Haiti, because I didn't realize
how did you get to Haiti?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I was putting myself on the spot. So one day I got an invite to a call, hangout call. We didn't have Zoom at the day, and I still don't understand how Zoom became Zoom, but so I got a hangout invite with two Googlers who wanted to invite me to speak at a startup event in Haiti. And it was myself and Ben Horowitz. So I said, hey, being on an invite with Ben Horowitz, that's good enough. I'm in. What do you need me to do?
Right.
And when I landed in Haiti, kind of the community organizers took me to the Haitian Museum of History. And, Haiti is an amazing, amazing, amazing place, but it's also, I would say, one of the baddest examples of humanity's misbehavior. And I really fell in love with the place, and I fell in love with the people. And although it didn't make any sense for Google and nobody at Google would support it, I committed there to their president and to the corporate team and to the community that will open an accelerator in Haiti within a year if they're all aligned and they're all going to work together.
Wow.
Magically, 7 months later, the accelerator was open. I think about a year and a half later, they had riots and the accelerator got burned down. So I did kind of own personal fundraise at Google from the executives to bring some more money into restoring the place. I was saddened to see that a year ago, Google kind of dropped supporting the Asian accelerator.
Yeah.
But with the 60, 70 founders that went through it and got the feeling that they have a chance and that they can really win the world with the support, I would say that's the thing I'm most proud of working at Google. And there was also a lesson in humility. You come out of Israel, you think you're in startup nation, you get to Silicon Valley, you understand scale. And then you understand that 98% of the resources and the brains on this planet are invested in let's get more pixels into a camera or get a phone processor to work a little bit faster. But that doesn't really change the world.
It doesn't change the world.
Impact and the value. So I'm fortunate I had the chance of really knowing this and really feeling like you can make a difference.
I love that. And so is that a lot of the underlying at Ant Ventures, is that sort of a lot of the underlying purpose of what you're doing as a company and the funds and the businesses that you really look to help accelerate? Is that a big part of your business model?
Our business model, first and foremost, is to support founders.
Yeah.
we call ourselves almost like co-founders with our founders, although we cannot replace their ingenuity and their innovation and their ability to execute. But at the end of the day, And is a venture firm aimed at making exceptional returns for our investors while putting a lot of effort that others won't into really working day in, day out with our founders and building them to maximize on their potential. We do in our, I would say, investment policy, look at companies that would make a difference, that would either make an economical benefit or that would change the world in a way or change an industry in a way that would do good. We will not invest in companies that are not in line with that thesis.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, make our founders successful. And I think it's less about, we're not going to be google.org and we're not AI for Good, which are two programs that I supported at Google, but we are about the relationship, the trust, and the support for our founders. I think the part of what I talked with Lee when we just started building N was how Andreessen and how Norwest, kind of the Investmer, the funds that I got to work closely with in Silicon Valley, have invested a lot of their management fee into building scalable teams that can build companies. And how can we replicate that model in Israel without having $1 billion fund?
Right.
And actually being poor is a great opportunity to innovate.
100%.
Because you're never going to have enough money to bring all the talent on the planet for your fund. You're never going to have enough money to bring the exact expertise you need for every startup you want to work with.
Right.
So we kind of democratized that ability to support portfolio companies. We just have around us founders that we can never afford, people who build companies and scale them that we can never pay. Experts in every field that you can think of, and we're just increasing that group by giving them the ability to build a portfolio through And. So
yeah, that's brilliant. Actually, you're leveraging incredible brain trust, which is helping accelerate and grow these companies at a pace that they otherwise wouldn't, which of course then supports the investment, which is brilliant.
Exactly.